guys, welcome back. You'll have to excuse the dirty attire and the mess on the layout. There's a lot of construction and things going on down here in the basement. Lots of craziness going on, and it's a mess down here, and I'm a bit of a mess. But I'm here today to talk to you about a review on one of the most recently released products from Bachmann, which is the HO scale F7A and B units, both of which are DCC sound value, which means they're soundtracks and DCC equipped. They can also run on DCC or DC, so they're pretty good units as far as that goes. The MSRP is $169 each, so you're looking at $340 for you math folks out there for 2 units MSRP. We'll talk about that a little later. I picked them up from a dealer called The Favorite Spot on eBay for a total of about $140 shipped total for both of them, so a pretty good deal. And The Favorite Spot also has a website, which is www.thefavoritespot.com, and you can check them out because they deal mostly in Bachmann, and they have some pretty good discounts if you're looking for certain Bachmann things. But other than that, we've got a lot to cover on this review. Plus, at the end, I'm going to tell you guys how I feel about Bachmann, because I've been misconstrued on how people perceive I feel about Bachmann, so we'll go into that. So let's get started on this review of the Bachmann F7A and B units that are sound value DCC sound equipped. So here are the Bachmann F7A and F7B units. I will show you what you get in the box. Obviously it comes out of this plastic container here, not a big deal. Here's the box. It's a Bachmann red box. It's got a DCC sound locomotive and their new DCC sound value on board. We've got an exploded parts diagram paper. This basically goes over the locomotive broken down, and on the other side it talks about operating the locomotive in DCC. You have a 1-year warranty for Bachmann products. This goes over some of the details of that. And the quick start guide, which will tell you all about DCC and sound and what the functions are, etc., etc. We got functions F0 through F8 listed here. This is a Soundtrax locomotive, so you will be able to go through more functions as we go on. Now, some of the features that Bachmann claims about this locomotive is that you have 128-step speed control. It's compliant with DCC systems with the NMRA. CAN motor, die-cast chassis. Their Bachmann Easy Mate Mark II magnetically operated knuckle couplers with metal coil springs. And it says it's compatible with conventional DC layouts as well. It's got the sound per the prototype, and one thing I'll tell you right out of the box while talking about the sound is the B unit does not have the horn or bell activated when you get out of the box. I do have the functions available for anybody who wants to know how to activate those if they're having problems, but usually you just get the regular diesel sound, no bell or horn. I like the idea of having kind of the surround sound or stereo sound, so I turned on the bell and horn. You don't need JMRI to do it. You can do it through CVs, and if anybody has a question about that, we'll ask. You can ask, and I'll send you the message with the details, but I'm not going to waste any more time explaining it. Let's go ahead and get started on the detail of these locomotives. It's Bachmann. You know, everybody says, oh, James is always saying it's Bachmann, it's Bachmann. All I mean by saying it's Bachmann is kind of at the bottom of the hobby right now as far as detail and price, and that's fine because I think they still have a gap to fill, and there's places Bachmann needs to be and people that need Bachmann, and I'll go into that later. But let's zoom in and take a look at the detail on this unit. What you have up front is some horns. This is not accurate for the prototype. I'll just tell you the horns are incorrect. There's a lot that's incorrect for the prototype executive units that Norfolk Southern uses. First of all, there's 4 of them. Bachmann's only released 2 road numbers, 4271 and 4276. The only company that's listed or actually put out the correct road numbers is Athearn, all 4 correct numbers. These are 2 of the 4 correct numbers. You've got ditch lights that are just basically decaled on. They are not actual ditch lights. You've got grab irons that appear to be separately applied. You've got number boards that aren't lit or anything. You've got a headlight that appears to be incandescent. You've got windshield wipers, one on each side. Incorrect horns. This is not metal, this side grating, it's plastic. You know, I'm not expecting a whole lot of Bachmann because of the price. Obviously, if they start pricing these things crazy high, like some really detailed F7 units, then I would expect them to be high, but the price was so good that detail is just not going to be there, folks. They've got some decent truck detail you could probably pick up in this video here towards the bottom. Decent truck detail. Again, not accurate or perfectly accurate. You've got some step ladders, again right out of frame here. Step ladders that are thick, but they're there. Okay, so they've done that. The Easy 2 mate couplers I told you about. I've never really had a problem with these couplers. Obviously, ideally you trade them out for KDs or something like that, but not a huge deal. Not a whole lot of body detail, but there are rivets along the side of the bodies, the appropriate windows, things like that. Detail on the roof, as you can see from this angle. They've got the fans. They're not see-through fan grills or anything. They're just basically molded with the body, and you look down into them and you see plastic body. So nothing really special there. Back up front there are cab figures installed. I'll try to get a close look at that for you if we can get it on video. With this video vantage point, you can probably see that the cab figures are installed there. There are one on each side, so that's a nice little touch by Bachmann. 4271 cab number, and F7 is clearly printed. The smaller print just doesn't exist to tell you whether it's clear or smudged. I don't really see any smaller printing on here. We'll give you a close look on the way back to the B unit here. Diaphragms are molded on as well. They're not separate diaphragms. I'm sure there's kits and stuff out there if you guys want to start adding those. And there's the back. So that's about it to cover the detail. I'm not going to go into any more detail because there's not a whole lot of really excessive detail to cover. But let's go ahead and fire these up so you can hear the sound. I'm going to go ahead and apply track power so you can hear these locomotives with the power applied. Just straight off with the power going on. You see there's no startup sequence or anything. I'm not sure if that is something that can be adjusted with the CVs. I haven't had time to research that. Alright, let's go ahead and listen for bell and horn and we'll do some operation. It's the horn. That's the long horn. Here's a short horn. Do a grade crossing for you real quick. Bell. I'm going to go ahead and put this to 128 speed steps on my MRC Prodigy wireless controller. We're going to go to 1 and see what happens. Okay, we're lurching forward with some jerks, but again, this hasn't been broken in. That's speed step 1. We're at speed step 2 now. 3. 8. We're moving along smoothly. A little quicker. That might have had something to do with my grade crossing because it is slightly elevated. So you get smooth movements. We're in reverse now. I'm at 11. Let me crank it up here. You know, surprisingly, it's pretty smooth. Pretty smooth runner. Now, only that headlight illuminates, as I showed you. But we're running around smoothly. Without a whole lot of problems. And they've got a lot of weight in the units, so they seem like they pull quite a bit. Let me go ahead and bring these back here. And as you see, the engine does rev up and rev down as needed. So overall, not too bad for the price. Well, that's about it. We're going to go into detail on these locomotives because there's not a whole lot more to cover, and I've got some things I want to get off my chest, so let's go ahead and wrap up this review and talk about the issues. Guys, let's wrap this review up. The MSRP on these units is $165 each. Now, if you're doing Bachmann and purchasing Bachmann, you don't want to pay MSRP because $330 for these two units is too high. But you usually can find discounts on Bachmann. Now, I don't want to get into the details, make distributors, hobby shops, and Bachmann themselves mad by explaining the discount structure. But basically, Bachmann is one of the heavily discounted items out there. Most of you guys already know that. You frequently see these items 35, 40, 45, 50% off. So a lot of things that are on the shelf that are Bachmann are heavily discounted. I remember my hobby shop in California was Western Depot. They did a great job of discounting Bachmann, and a lot of my products that are Bachmann were heavily discounted and purchased there. So what you want to do with Bachmann is try to find the discounts, unless it's uber rare or just one of a kind or something like that. If you find the discounts, I think these units are worth it. Obviously, you're only paying $140 shipped for two sound units that are F7A and B units that have soundtrack systems in them and represent the Norfolk Southern Executive scheme. Allow me to run my Norfolk Southern Executive passenger train. It's a great thing for me, and I'm glad to be able to do that for that price. So it fills a niche. That's my next point with Bachmann. A lot of people ask me if I'm bashing Bachmann or upset or Bachmann. Guys, I just use them as a spectrum, just like I use Overland models. Tyco's no longer here. The CEO just got out of jail, but Tyco is not a company anymore. So I can't use them as the bottom of the barrel in present day. So I use Bachmann as the bottom of the barrel price point, just like I use Overland models as the top of the barrel price point. Now, Bachmann usually means low price, low detail. Overland models usually means high price, high detail. But that's not always the case. I just have to use something to compare it to when I'm comparing stuff and talking about reviews. So it's just a comparison. I'm not throwing Bachmann under the bus. They fill a niche in this hobby. 12 years ago, I came in the military. To my name, I had about $2,000 or $3,000. I had my vehicle and whatever I had in my vehicle, and those were my possessions. I have been there where I could not afford to have the most expensive stuff. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm being rich, snobby kind of guy. I mean, yeah, I raised through the ranks pretty quick in the Air Force in 13 years. Yeah, I married a doctor, but that doesn't mean that Bachmann doesn't have a niche with me or that I thumb my nose to Bachmann or put my nose up to Bachmann. Obviously, I still need Bachmann, just like a lot of people need Bachmann. Some of those people can only afford Bachmann. That would have been me 12 years ago. My whole fleet would have been Bachmann, and it would have been a lot smaller. And the layout probably wouldn't exist. There'd be a circle of track on the floor if I was lucky. But people need Bachmann, whether it's price point or filling a niche that nobody else can fill. What are my only other options with the F7A and B? You Norfolk Southern fans will know that Athern's the only one that produced it, or Overland models. If I go with Athern, there's a B unit that's not powered, so I have to put a motor in a B unit. I've got to put sound decoders in both of them. I have to convert both of them to DCC. It's too much work for the amount of money, plus they're hard to find. If I go Overland models, I saw the cheapest for 4 units, which are just DC, sell for about, let's see, I think it was about $2,800. So do I want to spend $2,800 when I can spend $140? And I already have sound, and I already have DCC. So Bachmann fills a niche. Don't let anybody tell you that you're, scum for having Bachmann, or that you look down at you because you can't afford Bachmann. Everybody needs Bachmann in some way or another. Again, the almighty James Wright that everybody thinks I am needs Bachmann right now, so I can pull my executive train. At the end of the video, you'll see these Bachmann units pulling 2 Bachmann Norfolk Southern business cars, the only 2 I have. And as a matter of fact, the only company that makes Norfolk Southern business cars that actually say Norfolk Southern on the side, not Norfolk and Western, but Norfolk Southern, is Bachmann. And a lot of them are employee special cars, but nonetheless. So that's about it with Bachmann. I just don't want anybody to think I'm too high and mighty for Bachmann, because I'm obviously not. And we've got some other reviews that have Bachmann stuff that you'll see in the reviews here in a couple weeks. So obviously Bachmann fills a niche. It fills a niche with the kids and the Thomas the Train line that it does. Everything in this hobby has a place. Bachmann's in there, and they have a place too. So I just wanted you guys to know what the real deal was with Bachmann and my feelings. Yeah, are the details not there? Yeah, I showed you guys. Details aren't there, but the price point is so low. Now, with that said, one little caveat to that is if you are looking at some more detailed Bachmann units, I'll just call it straight as it is, the Norfolk Southern Heritage units, the ES44ACs and SD70ACEs, if I were you, if I could afford an extra $10 or $20 in your shoes, or maybe $40, depending on what this deep discount is, I would spring for the Intermountain units and stuff like that. Now, I haven't actually gotten a hold of these Bachmann Norfolk Southern Heritage units, so I don't know if they're going to be just amazing. But what I've seen, I would still spring for the Intermountain and Athearn units if I could afford it. But that's a big if for you guys and for lots of people. So just if you could afford it, that's what I would say. If you can't afford it, fine, get those. Or if you want more of the Norfolk Southern Heritage units and you want the whole fleet and you want them in Bachmann, great. Just keep in mind your perspective, because everybody's got a different perspective. Everybody's got a different opinion. These are just my opinions. Alright guys, I'm going to leave you with the F7A and B pulling my only two Norfolk Southern passenger cars. Again, like I said, they're made by Bachmann. We'll have more Bachmann reviews and other reviews in the future. It will slow down for the Christmas season and in the holiday. If I don't get a chance before then, which I'm sure I will, I want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you guys. And I emphasize Merry Christmas. Things are getting too political sometimes, and this Happy Holidays thing drives me nuts. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time right here on the channel. Take care.